Hello, hope everything's all right with you in your part of the world. It's me again, Peter Cox, with, of course, management strategist Mark Thomas, author of 99%, and indeed, boss. Is that the right word, Mark, of the 99% organisation?
Founder.
Okay, that's nicer, actually. Yeah, that's a kind of gentler thing. So we're looking at the news in the past few days. In the UK, you won't have been able to move, sleep, or breathe, or possibly even have nightmares, without seeing this gentleman on the news. His name is Dominic Cummings, former special advisor, I say former, to the Prime Minister. Apparently, there was an enormous bust-up in Number 10, or was there? According to, well, it depends really according to which newspaper you read. Some of them say it was a very, very friendly departure, jokes, drinks, and see you later, guys. Others say it was a huge bust-up, possibly occasioned by the Prime Minister's fiancée. We don't really know. It's interesting, Mark, that over the past few days we've been talking about this degree of uncertainty about news that we receive for one reason or another, people not really knowing where they stand, and the potential for a small number of people to make a lot of money out of it. And I'm wondering if the departure, or not possibly, of Dominic Cummings falls into that sort of category.
Well, I think there's a real possibility that it does. As you said earlier, we don't actually know the truth. We don't know whether he left on good terms or bad terms, or in fact, whether he left at all. Yeah. So you remember that picture of him leaving Downing Street, slightly forlorn looking.
Iconic photo. You know what? It looked like a photo opportunity to me. It looked so staged,
it did almost.
Actually.
Well, exactly. He had the box in his hands, just like those pictures of the bankers leaving Lehman Brothers after the global financial crisis.
That's what it was.
Absolutely typical. And so the story was, as you say, there are two versions of the story that we've been told. There was the bust-up, which was caused by him falling out with Carrie Symonds, or it was a very amicable departure, and he's left to go and back into his garden and writing his blog and so on. The one
being phoned by billionaires, possibly, who knows? Yeah, that's what happens to gentlemen of his ilk.
Indeed, every time I go in my garden, I get several billionaires ringing me up.
I can't clear enough of bloody phone.
Exactly, it's a problem for all of us, and I'm sure he will have that same difficulty. But the one version of the story that wasn't really propounded was that he hasn't really left very much at all. Now, there are two reasons why people are a bit suspicious about the photo. The first one you have pointed out, that it looks too good to be true. It looks like a photo opportunity. If I had just been sacked, certainly with the first version of the story, that there was this great big bust-up and I got sacked, I would not leave through the front door. There are a lot of ways out of Downing Street. Yeah. And only one of them takes you right past where all the press are waiting. Yeah. He could, if he had wanted to, have found ways of departing which would have avoided the press pack. So the fact that they didn't choose that, I think, is in itself telling. Even if it had been an amicable departure, I still don't think leaving with the box like that would have been the way. So that's the first thing. The second thing was, of course, Dominic Cummings had to be in the heart of Downing Street. To be able to wander in and out, as we've repeatedly seen him do, you need a security pass. Yes. And one of the things that happens when you leave employment with that kind of security clearance is that they take away the pass. Yeah. And in the picture, that iconic picture you referred to, he still had the pass around his neck.
He did. Absolutely right. That's a very, very good point. I haven't heard anyone else cover that, actually. That's absolutely true. But let's just take our scenario a little bit further. And there are certain media outlets, big ones actually, right now, openly speculating about the future of the British Prime Minister himself, whether he's going to be around for the next few weeks or not. There are rumblings of a coup, no less. So what impact would that actually have, do you think, if Boris Johnson were no longer Prime Minister? Would it change anything?
Well, of course, it would depend who became prime minister afterwards. So if he left in a carefully engineered coup, it could be that it would change nothing. If he left and was replaced by somebody with a very different philosophy, then it could change a lot of things. So within the Tory party, there's been a kind of battle which was won really by the market fundamentalists, and that was the point we talked before about what Philip Hammond and Anna Soubry and Heidi Allen and all these others, Dominic Grieve, what they have said, that the Tory party's been taken over from top to bottom by extreme right-wingers. But that doesn't mean there aren't any One Nation Tories left in the Tory party. I don't know how many there are, but I'm sure there are still One Nation Tories left in the party. Now, she looks as if she's enjoying her burger.
Yes, well, I think these people are typifying the concept of greed. I think, actually, Mark, that's what we're doing.
Oh, I see. I realise that now. Yeah, I wasn't sure if they were meant to be One Nation Tories or exactly what they were representing, but now I see it's clear beyond question.
It's conceptual.
So these are in fact the market fundamentalists.
They are, yes.
When the mask is ripped off. So those are the two factions, and so there would be a possibility of the One Nation Tory, which is to a large extent the traditional Tory party.
It's totally the traditional party. Yeah.
Or equally plausible, maybe more likely, is that it becomes another market fundamentalist. Now, you just pointed out that media ownership is a very important part of what happens in this country.
It's how we get our information, isn't it?
It's how we get our information. So we've talked on some of the earlier episodes, we've talked quite a lot about how we've been repeatedly told various things that turn out not to be true. The reason we believe it is because of this chart that I see you have up on the screen here.
Talk us through it.
Which is it's basically showing us the media ownership. Well, the different outlets and who owns them, and what percentage of the British population who read anything read these things either online or on paper. So starting at the bottom, you can see Rothermere has a big chunk of it, Lord Rothermere, who owns the Mail and the Metro and the Eye. Then we have the Mirror, the Express and the Star, all of which are owned by Reach PLC. Then we have Rupert Murdoch, who owns both the Sun, which is big circulation still, and the Times. The Guardian is surprisingly large, which is independent. And then we have the Barclay ownership of the Telegraph, and Lebedev, who owns the Standard. So apart from the Guardian, which is independent, it's virtually all owned by billionaires who are offshore, tax avoiding, and you can guess that they quite like the idea of the market fundamentalist approach. So the question is, what's going to happen? You ask what would happen if there is a coup. Well, if the market fundamentalist tendency is regaining control, they will have to have a good story. So the story will be, yes, everything went wrong under Boris, but we all knew what he was like. But now we have shiny, new, professional Mr. X, or conceivably Ms. X, who is the new Tory leader, and it's all going to be different now. And, give him or her time. After all, he or she's only been prime minister for a year. So, and after what Boris left, it's not surprising it's taken a bit of time. So a story along those lines could perpetuate this whole cycle of failure, but without us realizing that there actually is any failure.
So it's a question of, it's like Bruce Springsteen said, isn't it? It's meet the new boss, same as the old boss, basically. But
yes, it could be.
The advantage would be that, all the monumental errors, mistakes, cock-ups, and many deliberate things were done, particularly as far as COVID is concerned. All that's just swept away. And Boris Johnson, instead of, he always had this childhood ambition, didn't he? He wanted to be king of the world. And instead of that, he's going to be a very tarnished person. But basically, he may go, but his policies stay with us. Let me just read you what I've got from Boris Johnson. This is the beginning of COVID. He said, quote, we should all basically just go about our normal daily lives. The best thing you can do is to wash your hands with soap and hot water. This is how to prevent COVID, while singing happy birthday twice. I mean, the man is a joke. He's a joke.
Well, yeah, he made that speech. He also made one in Greenwich where he was quite explicit about his ambition for how Britain was going to come out of the whole COVID crisis better than any other country, because in effect, the rest of the world was going to cower from the virus, but and I won't get this exactly right, but the words were something very much along these lines. What the world needs is a superhero who is prepared to emerge like Clark Kent, cape billowing and leading free trade and free enterprise. And in all humility, I'm here to tell you now, Britain is prepared to play that role.
Wow.
That's not absolutely word for word, but it's not far off.
That's extraordinary.
From my
That's
memory.
exactly the same imagery as Mr. Trump, of course, when he came out of hospital. It's the same thing. He wanted to wear a Clark Kent T-shirt. What is wrong with these people? I mean, seriously, what is wrong with them?
Well, you'll have to ask a clinical psychologist or psychiatrist to get a proper answer to that. But people do talk about narcissism, which, that is a clinical condition. I'm not competent to diagnose it, but it's certainly been suggested by people with far more medical expertise than I have.
Yeah. Good. All right. Thank you very much, Mark, for additional insight today. We are going to be with you every day for the next week or two at least, possibly longer if you want us. If you'd like to leave us a comment, please do so right here on YouTube, and I'll pass it on to Mark and make sure he answers and addresses it. And meanwhile, we will see you tomorrow.